Shalom Aleichem, Professor Neriah Klein. Welcome everyone. This will be a series of 3 lectures. It's Hashem. It's a big schir to have you here. Professor Neriah, Dr. Neriah Klein was Harav Dr. Neriah Klein, I should say, was recommended to us by various colleagues and people that we have the schir to learn with, including Harav Agun Yitzchak Lowy Shlita. And also, you came highly recommended by Professor Harav Yoni Grossman, so someone that we learn his cipher now almost daily as we go through Zvocham and the Daf Yom Shirim. Dr. Klein is a well-renowned scholar in the area of specializing in manuscripts and in literary analysis and biblical manuscripts, right? He teaches in Hebrew University and in various other colleges, leads the Text and Masorah sections in the Hebrew University Bible Project, and the forthcoming books, Between the Lines, which we joked before should be named is a critical analysis on the site of Dvei and the genealogy of Yehuda ben Yankov. Vis-a-vis, it lines up against the Chemesh Torah. Welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, God. I don't think it's going to be any problem because we don't have like a smaller tzibur today. But I would like that when you have a question, if there's something that you could understand the hemshech from the shir, you should rather write it down. And every few minutes we can open the floor for questions. Thank you very much, and Thank
you. I wanted to start with an introduction to why I'm talking about Dvei Hayamim, because it's supposed to be about Tanakh, and we have a tradition in Torah that we don't learn Dvei Hayamim. How do I know it? Because if we try to make a Daf Mekoros about the fact that no one learned Dvei Hayamim before, we can do it like all the first page will be Mekoros about this. So you can begin from Chazal. In Yalkut Shimoni, we can see the Midrash that Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi said about Dvei Hayamim, Ki hava patach, so it means that they learned Dvei Hayamim. But still, he said, Kol dvarecha teimahem, teimahu, ve'anu yod'im ledorsham. So he had a problem with Dvei Hayamim. It's teima. Kol dvarecha, we don't know anything about Dvei Hayamim, we can't understand it. So we need a drash to make some sense. And when we go to the Pashtanim, we see even a bigger problem. Radak says in Akdama, when he decided, as opposed to most Pashtanim, to write a commentary about Dvei Hayamim, he said, ויש בספר הזה דברים סתומים מאוד ודברים חלוקים עם דברי שמואל ומלכים. So we have contradictions with שמואל ומלכים. ולפי שהספר הזה הוא סיפור דברי הימים, לא הרגילו ללמדו. Because it's דברי הימים, no one studied it. ולא ראיתי לאחד מן המפרשים שהשתדלו בפירושו. I'm the first one to write a commentary about דברי הימים. אלא שמצאתי הנה בנרבונה פירושים בזה הספר, לא ידעתי שמות מחבריהם. וראיתי כי הולכים בדרך הדרש ברוב. So if you want pshat, again, we don't have anyone. So why did I started Radak? Why did he wrote a commentary? ושאל ממני, משכיל אחד מגרונה מתלמידי אדוני אבי לפרשו, וראיתי לתת את שאלתו. ולא כתבתי פסוק אחר פסוק, כן, still we don't want to write a commentary about דברי הימים. Just, אלה פסוקים הצריכים פירוש. And the same with Rabbi Binyamin Meromi, one of the פרשנים that actually wrote a commentary on דברי הימים. בעבור אשר ראיתי בני אדם, ואם הם חכמים, נמנעים ללמוד ספר דברי הימים, ואף לקרותו להיעדר הפירושים. You can see the same idea also here. And the last line again, ואינני כי אם מתחיל לבד, he sees himself as the first one to write a commentary on דברי הימים. ישמע חכם ויוסף לקח. I will start and then you will read the commentary, and if you had something to add, do it. But then when we go to Abarbanel, like in the 15th century, he really says it in the most clear way. I will only read the bold section. והנה יסף השם יגון על מחובי ושאין איתנו בארץ על זו פירוש לספר דברי הימים. Like hundreds of years after Radak, still we have nothing. What about Radak? כי אם דברים מועטים לרד"ק ז"ל והם בטלים במיעוטם ולא העמיק לחקור בזה כלל. וגם הספר ההוא, דברי הימים, בלתי נהוג אצל היהודים במדרשיהם. את חטאיי אני מזכיר היום, כי לא קראתי בו מימיי, ולא חיפשתי בענייניו מהיותי ועד עתה. כן? אברבנאל said that he never studied דברי הימים. Again, so what should he do now? ולא נשאר איתי בזה בלתי הסברה הגוברת והעומד השכלי בפשוטי הפסוקים בעזרת האל, of course. If you think it ends here, no. We go to the 18th century and המצודות, רבי יחיאל הלל אלטשולר says the same. Again, only the bold section. ואף בדברי הימים אשר הוא כספר חתום עד כי רבים חדלו להגות בו את הכל יביא במשפט לכלכל בדרך הפשט. So you can see that all the way to almost now, דברי הימים is not something that we should learn. So we will do something that is against tradition and against most לומדי Torah in the last 2,000 years, and we'll try to see what's going on דברי הימים. And what I'm going to talk about is not all the idea of what דברי הימים is, but the contradictions between דברי הימים and שמואל מלאכי. What contradictions? So let's see an example.
I'm just curious, none of these sources write the reason, הסיבה, למה לא לומדים. Just, I'm saying it's, but,
yeah.
But you assume it's because the stirot, that's the reason?
When I wrote about it, I also, again, like you said, I don't know why, but I can guess. I guess two reasons. One of them is, of course, the contradictions. And the second one is the fact that if you want to study Divrei Yamim, and you start at the beginning, you have 9 chapters of lists.
Right.
Very, very boring list. So most of them just can't go past that.
Yeah, the Radak said, "Leficha Saifa Zay he sifted Divrei Hayamim."
Yeah, but what does it mean?
Like, who cares about sifted Divrei
What does that mean?
Else has
I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Oh,
Any other
other things
narrative.
Things
That's what I'm at.
why doesn't say a malachim? Who cares?
I'm just saying, but he uses those words.
Understand.
Malachim has a little bit always some movie yelling and screaming about something. So
Divrei Yamim is the same thing. Because one of the stories in malachim gets over on Divrei Yamim, and it's different.
But if I had to guess what the difference between Melachim and Divrei Yamim is not the genre of the book, but the tradition that Melachim is Nevi'im,
Right.
and Divrei Yamim is it's just
That's what my taina, that I don't see any difference in the teuchim.
I say between Divrei Yamim and the rest of the Ksira.
In malachim.
Yes. So if I had to guess, one of the main guesses will be the contradictions, because most of the book is the story of the house of Beit David.
Right.
Beit David from the death of Shaul to the Khurban.
Right.
And all of this already told in Shmuel Bet and Melachim. So we have the same story, but in completely different versions. With
Contradiction.
sometimes an entire story is not written in Divrei Yamim or in Shmuel Malachim. When it's written, it's usually with differences, and it's not only differences that we can say one of the stories add to the other one, but Divrei Yamim takes the story and repeat it word by word, letter by letter, and then changes something. And we will
Repeating
see.
from Malachim, like.
Yeah, we will see many examples. The best way to see it is when we make a table with every difference with a bold, like I did in some cases. I actually finished doing it to all of Divrei Hayamim, and I'm going to publish it as a book, a different book, not the one that was mentioned before. But anyway, we'll try with this one or two contradictions, and let's see what you think about them. Wait a second. It's not the right. Oh, okay. Here. So in number 7, we have a very interesting contradiction. In Shmuel Bet, we know that.
Could you, before you go to this part, just not everyone is now did ever learn Divrei Hayamim, and for sure, not no one is now learning Divrei Hayamim. Could you just say a few words what Divrei Hayamim is?
Okay.
People should
Yeah.
know what.
I was going to do it like through or what we're going to do, but
Okay,
what
no
I can
problem.
say in very general words that Divrei Hayamim is a book that was written according to Chazal by Ezra, but it's obviously written by Cheney, and it starts from Adam Shet Enosh from the beginning, but I think it's not really a story of from Adam to the Churban, but 9 chapters of genealogies, lists, many kinds of lists, not only genealogies. And then the story, the historiography, starts in chapter 10 to the end, chapter 10 of Divrei Hayamim Aleph to the end of Divrei Hayamim Bet. And this is the story of Beit David. It starts again with the death of Shaul and then the coronation of David. And after that, it just goes David, Shlomo, and all the kings of Yehuda.
Is it definitely the same sefer?
Divrei Hayamim is one sefer.
Like there's
The difference between Divrei Hayamim Aleph and Bet is it's
oh,
Christian.
but the first 10 chapters, like, do they have any relationship?
It was a question in scholarship, because many try to say that if it's not the same genre, it means that it's an addition. But nowadays, I think most scholars will agree that it's a part of the book, and we have many things that we find in the book that we find in both sections, the genealogies and in the historiography.
And it's so interesting. It's not just saying, just the genealogy is a part of the Tanakh that shows you the very importancy that was saying this like we see in Asar Yochsen, Text Kiddushin, even after that. Yeah, not like it was like. It's interesting that you, because we know most of the genealogy was oral. This is how it's not interesting.
I don't know how too much. I'm just trying to understand the problem. Is there anybody that thinks of it almost like a study partner? That Divrei Hayamim is like as if a study. I know myself. If I don't, it's hard for me to keep genealogy or chronology. But and so if you learn the Chumash, it's very hard. We learn a pasha a week. We don't know what's going on. You learn Divrei Hayamim, just even the first 7 chapters. It's as if somebody says, "Let me organize it for you." That it seems like as if.
That's the problem. It's not the problem.
No, I'm just trying to think. Is there anybody like today? A lot of books. You could take a books that they just cut away 20 pages, add 20 pages, and it was like a study partner to major works. Is there anybody that views maybe Divrei Hayamim that way, as if it's like takes everything that we know in the Torah, just organizes
A summary from before is
It's
in
not
the
even
intro.
a summary. It's almost like a study partner. It's like
I don't know what you
Commentary.
understand from
What?
chart.
A kind of a commentary.
it's before there was
The
content,
Malach,
it's more
Malach.
organized.
Yeah, it's not commentary like in the same kind, like with the Dibur Amatzkel and stuff.
Right, but it
But
has that
still,
sense.
it's complemented another book.
If somebody just asks a question to anybody that learns Shmuel and says, what happens first, Shmuel, or anything in the story, they'll struggle. If you read it in Divrei Hayamim,
I don't
you can
think so.
very easily
Divrei Hayamim
find
doesn't
that.
make
It's not a commentary, it's a revision.
That
It's a
was the
revision
next,
story. It's not-
that you're interested. I don't know.
Next one. First of all, we'll talk about Divrei Hayamim as a parshan. It's one of the options that
The Rasha on Divrei Hayamim is not Rasha. Nobody mentions the Rasha.
the what?
Rashi.
Rashi
Divrei Hayamim.
on Divrei
Pseudo
Hayamim? Oh, because it's not Rashi. Yeah.
Zarash.
Well, if you try to find Mefarshim on Divrei Hayamim, if we take, for example, you know the מקומות that Bar Ilan published, מקומות הכתר?
Yeah.
So there we have almost every Rishon that we could find about דברי הימים. We have מיוחס לרש"י, מיוחס לרבי יוסף קרא, מיוחס לתלמיד רס"ג. Yeah.
What do you make of that? How come they have all these
We have
in?
we have a commentary of
is Yuchas to Dover.
yeah.
Right, I know that's the thing.
The joke usually ended when I say that that we have also a commentary by Rabbeinu Miyuchas, and we have פירוש רבנו מיוחס בן אליהו. No, on דברי הימים.
כן.
על
דברי הימים.
Yeah, we have this three and
Because
then
Rashi, the reason
the fact that it's not Rashi, it's clear because he refers to Rashi. He says, Rabbeinu Shlomo says in the commentary to Kings. So it's Melachim, yeah. So it's clear that it's not Rashi, and it's clear that it's not Rabbi Yosef Kara, and Talmid Rasag, it's Machlokes. Anyway, we don't have enough Mefarshim to deal with in the first place. Anyway, if you would want to talk about the contradictions, let's see what a contradiction is, how it looks like. So, number 7. We know that from Shmuel Aleph, David killed Goliath, of course, right? So in Shmuel Bet, another guy killed Goliath. Many wanted to do it. So another guy is the אלחנן בן יערי הורגים. ותהי עוד המלחמה בגוב עם פלישתים, ויח אלחנן ביערי הורגים בית הלחמי את גוליית הגיתי. ועץ חניתו כמנוע הורגים. Okay, that's interesting. We have another guy that killed someone who is called Goliath Hagiti, like Goliath Momigat from David Goliath. On this Goliath it said Ve'etz chanito kimnor orgim, the same phrase that is written about that Goliath. And the one who killed him is Beit Alachmi, like David. Is from Bethlehem. So it's a very interesting coincidence. And this is a contradiction inside Shmuel. We didn't get yet to Divrei Hayamim. So that's a problem to begin with. And the Mefarshim usually go one of two ways. Or we say that Elchanan is David, or we say that it's two Goliaths. Anyway, both explanations are not so promising. Because if Elchanan is David, it's not clear why to say Elchanan ben Ya'arei Orgim, it's not David in Sefer Shmuel. Why to use a different name?
maybe the shliach from David.
What? Shliach?
אולי זה היה שליח מבית דוד.
Okay, but who killed Goliath?
Who shot the
David killed Goliath
was David did it himself.
That's the whole story.
Yeah, and he did it before he had like גיבורי דוד.
מה פירוש המילה? הורגים. הריגה?
Yeah, הורגים it's הריגה, and this is one part of the...
מה זה שייך פה?
Oh, exactly. So first of all, אלחנן בן יערי הורגים, if you see, we have two הורגים. After, in the next line, we have another הורגים.
What does it mean?
Of course, scholars will say it's a textual. Is a good way to say it. But if we will be like regular scholars, we will say that it's just an error of a scribal error who wrote twice the word Orgim, and we have a reason to think like this because, as we will see in Divrei Hayamim, you have only the Yair and not the Orgim. And Ya'arei, it's interesting that it could be an error. If you see the Ayin and Resh, it could be an error from Shin. Yeah? You see how it could have been Shin, and then it went to be Ayin and Resh? It's very close to be a Shin. So some say that it could be Ben Ishai. And then we are getting closer to Elchanan. Yeah, so we are getting closer to Rashi, who said in Shmuel that Elchanan is David. After the Targum, Yonatan. Anyway, this is one of the solutions, and the other one is to say that David killed one Goliath, and Hanan killed another Goliath. Again, it's not so convincing because two Goliaths from Gat ועץ חניתם כמנור הורגים, it's too much of a coincidence. What?
Had a clone. Was that again?
Yeah, I heard lately, like last week, that someone argued that Goliath is not a name, it's a personal name.
It's like
but
Pharaoh,
like a giant. Yeah. It's a Goliath. Yeah.
A Goliath.
A Goliath. But Goliath הגיתי, עץ חניתו כמנור הורגים, I don't know.
מה זה כמנור הורגים?
גלגמש.
מה הפירוש של כמנור הורגים?
העץ של החנית שלו זה wood part, the wooden part of the חנית, of the spear.
מה זה כמנור?
מנור הורגים is how so everyone who learned Melachos Shabbos know that we have
The near.
we have two giant
Right.
wooden sticks, and then you put all the
So it's the size,
on
it's
the-
how big it is.
How big the Chanit is.
I think it's
right?
how wide, I think,
Wide.
yeah. It's more like this, I think.
And
Anyway, this is what we have in Shmuel. In Shmuel, we already have a problem. When you get to Divrei Hayim, you can see that I put in bold every difference to the letter between Divrei Hayim and Shmuel, and you see that it's almost the same text. But instead we have ותהי עוד מלחמה את פלישתים without the word בגוג. Okay. ויחל חנן בן יאיר את לחמי אחי גוליית הגיתי. Yeah.
It looks like he wanted to be Meyashim that person.
Exactly. So this is of course one of the places that very much goes to this idea of a commentary.
Yeah.
Because it seems like he saw the contradictions in Shmuel and he tried to make a solution for it, but it's not a solution, it's a different text.
Right.
Yeah, when we go back to Shmuel, we can't read it inside Shmuel.
So this is the first place where it says that Goliath here is the second Goliath, not the same.
Yeah, it's a different
No,
Goliath.
he killed the brother.
The brother of Goliath.
So what we're saying about
That's
Goliath,
second.
that there was two maybe Plishtin Goliaths.
No, it's
he's
the
already
same
saying-
Goliath.
No, his
Goliath's
brother.
the brother. Right.
Goliath.
Goliath is the
So
same
he's
guy.
already making two
No
of
two
them.
Plishtim.
No, not two Goliaths. It's the same Goliath, but Goliath had a brother who was also a giant.
Yeah.
We know that Goliath had a brother.
Maybe David killed the
Goliath.
Goliath, and he killed the brother. Now he pampered both psikim.
Exactly.
Yes, but then instead of
Let me ask you
Elchanan,
something before. It's one suggestion commentary, but the other suggestion is that it's not commentary, just a different. It doesn't have to be. But the other suggestion is that I'm just asking. Isn't there this klal? I forgot how they call it. It's klal that always when the Tanakh brings quotes psikim from Tanakh, always the way to say that I'm quoting it is by not quoting exact. How is it called? Klal
Zaydel.
Zaydel.
But it's not that it doesn't quote it exactly like the other one, but it quote it in a different seder.
You can say that,
Yeah.
but not contradict.
Not kind of, yeah. Instead of זבת חלב ודבש, it could be זבת דבש וחלב.
This is the point.
Yeah, דבש וחלב תחת
This
לשונך.
is the way I like to say I'm quoting. What?
Yeah.
Why?
Just to say, I don't know, and it's very problematic. Like
David ben Yisha, Yisha ben David.
No, but we're saying, but you.
we have
But,
something like this in Divrei Hayim.
I'm asking.
Yoyada ben Bnayahu.
It's acceptable klal. This klal Zaydel.
It's acceptable, but I have reasons to think
Reservations
it's
on
not.
that.
Yeah, I have reservations,
Okay.
but again, it's something like you can't really prove
Right.
that it's a klal because you have many places where the
Klal
quote
doesn't
is the quote is exact.
Right.
So I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, so these are the facts. In Shmuel, this is what we have, and in Divrei Hayim we have a different story, but almost exactly the same wording, just a slight change. Instead of Elchanan being from Bethlehem, he killed Lachmi, and instead of killing Goliath, he killed the brother of Goliath. So, what do we do with this? If we try to see what Mefarshim did with this, most of the Mefarshim tried to put one of them inside of the other, to comment on one of the places in Shmuel or Dvei Hayamim to show how what's written here is exactly what meant in the other book. Let's take, for example, one of the, I think, chaotic ones. Gaon Mivilna, Agra in 11. Elchanan ben Yair et Lachmi. He tried to put Divrei Hayamim into Shmuel, which is interesting because it doesn't make any sense. If it does this and it tried to say that Divrei Hayamim says what's written in Shmuel, the contradiction inside Shmuel stays. So.
Yeah, but he's rather going with Chazal that he was David. He probably is assuming like Chazal that he was David.
Let's see. Elchanan ben Yair et Lachmi. He says nothing about if Elchanan was David or not. Elchanan ben Yair et Lachmi, Perush שהיה מן בית לחם. When we say Elchanan ben Yair et Lachmi, it means he was from Bet Lechem.
Not the name of a person.
Yeah.
Et Lachmi is on Elchanan ben Yair, that he was from Bet Lechem.
He was Et Lachmi.
He's like putting in Divrei Hayamim and Shmuel.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the opposite is much better, but this is what he's doing.
And what's the proof of that? וכן כתוב בשמואל, בית לחמי. So that's a proof that Divrei Hayamim is supposed to mean this, because this is what's written in Shmuel. And what about Achi Goliath Agiti? Achi Kai Le'el al Sipai. It refers to Sipai. Achi, the one who was killed in the last war, Sipai. We have 4 wars of
4 brothers of
in each war one of the brothers of Yelidei Harafa died. So Achi, the one who was mentioned before, Sipai, which is Goliath Agiti. So it's Kai Le'el al Sipai. רצה לומר אחי סיפאי והיינו גוליית הגיתי. Convincing? No.
I was wondering what the Baisalachmi comes in over here in this pasuk, in the Shmuel. Elchanan ben Yair Urgin Baisalachmi. So I would say the opposite. That maybe in the pasuk of Shmuel is we have to put in the Achi. That Lachmi Achi before Goliath, the ace is Achi Goliath Achiti.
So you try to say that it's a scribal error, or just that it's supposed to be understood as Achi?
Something like that.
It's actually very interesting. In many cases, when we have a problematic text, and scholars will say this is a scribal error and it's supposed to be this text. In many cases like this, Radak or other Mefarshim will say it's the same as. It means this, but they won't say there is an error, but still, this is what happened.
Well, what is al tikri kach elakach? What's that? Is that the same thing as the Radak?
Usually, it's very midrashi. Yeah, it's not like the thing that you wanted to read there from the pshat.
So right, but I mean, effectively, it's the same thing as saying a scribal error. That if you want to understand this pasuk, you have to read it as if there's a.
Altik is not a scribal error. It's medrash.
I understand,
not
but
pshat.
Right, but saying Mefarshim.
It doesn't.
We're talking about pshat. This is totally different. Yeah, to say that it's a scribal error. Altik is not a scribal error. Altik means.
But I'm saying effectively, it's the same thing.
No, it's not.
No, because I think that
Because of the appearance of the pasuk.
No, because when you say drash, you know that there is pshat, there is drash. What do you mean?
Yeah.
But here you're saying on a pasuk that no one's going to say that it's a scribal error. You understand? No one's going to say Torah Sefer. There's no such a thing.
You don't have to say Tolas. You could just say it's al Hashgacha that it's supposed to be this error.
Okay, but
no, that's already al tikri. As I'm saying, I don't see such a big difference.
You have interesting, but
also
look at al tikri.
I'm wondering.
but also, even though al tikri means don't read like this,
right.
I don't think they mean don't read like this ever.
There's a shlomo that
for this
al tikri.
midrash, let's read it like this and not like this, and don't read like what we need to read in the chat. Yeah. So this is one of the cases. And of course, we can and we will bring many more, but later. I wanted to start moving through the ages and see what the Mefarshim did when they tackled contradictions. The ones who were brave enough to tackle the question. So, as we said, in Chazal we have a clear message. לא ניתן דברי הימים אלא להידרש. In Vayikra Rabbah and in other cases, we have this...
what does it mean? It doesn't mean to say that this text, there's no pshat and drash. Here, drash is the pshat?
That's the question. I agree with the question. I'm not sure what the answer is, because you have several options, and as we will see later, another midrash says slightly different idea. Later, I agree with the question anyway. But then, if we say that לא ניתן דברי הימים אלא להידרש, the pshat of that is supposed to be that we can't read דברי הימים pshat. We need to take it out of the plain explanation of the text and try to understand it in a different manner, in a more midrashic manner. And if this is the case, so what we do with the pshat, with the book itself? Why was it written at all? So of course, Mefarshim, Pashtanim, they can't take this as
Let me ask
a method.
Why? What? But the interesting part, I think, is that when I start to look at these sources that say that there's a problem here, yeah, and the first is you mentioned Yalkut Shimoni. How do you explain why Chazal don't mention any of these problems? Even let's say the next pasuk, the Gemara extensively is like the Yomi we just learned that the Gemara is busy with that pasuk, but doesn't bring up this contradiction. And more of that we see when the Chazal and Baba Basra, when they say they didn't want to put in this and that because it's so it has stirot, and then they decided they don't bring Dibur Yoma as a problem at all. That's not interesting. Why they didn't view it as a problem at all?
I think they viewed it as a problem, but not in a general saying.
From the itself, the Gemara there where it says
One second. What's the answer
to
this question? I don't understand.
No, so first of all, if you try to find midrashim that tackle contradictions like this between Divrei Hayamim and other books,
yeah, but
you have
by the way that when I read this whole list that you described, it's some major problem in Divrei Hayamim. It's not 1, 2, 3. It's a major problem. Yeah. So how do you explain that till a Yalkut Shimoni? Yeah, very nice. But in a Vayikra Rabbah, that's okay. But how do you explain why in the Bavli never ever we see such to bring up this problem? It looks like that they don't feel that it's any problem.
Yeah, but again, what I'm trying to say that when you see all the midrashim, you see that this is usually what they do with contradictions. So when they see a book of contradictions, they just do the same as they do with every other contradiction between Dvorim and...
But I still think it's different because when you look this page again and you see anyone that tries to tackle this Sefer,
in Pshat,
says, Rebbeinu Shalom, isn't it interesting that Chazal don't give it like say a word on the bottom?
So of course it's interesting, but I think when it's going to be a midrash, it's not so surprising. Because if we talk about Pshat...
When you see the Gemara Babasa that tells you surprising things about this Sefer, they thought only when they say so the end... They're like talking on the Svarim. And they don't think it's interesting to point out the Divrei Hayamim problem.
Yeah, but in Cheskel and Kohelet, the problem was theological or halachic.
I understand.
So
okay.
It's a different...
so you say only theological. That's what I'm saying. What I'm pointing out is, I accept your answer. Let's say theological and halachic. So that means, but if it's not theological and halachic, just stirah in the psukim, it wasn't a thing that only in the Medrash we see and later much stronger that it is a problem by them. I'm trying to say I think maybe they didn't view it as a problem at all.
The fact is it didn't bother me. The fact is it didn't bother me.
It doesn't bother.
It's not a fact. It didn't bother.
They was not looking.
says the same idea of there is a problem, but we do a midrash.
So isn't
We
there?
know that there is a problem. כל דבריך תאמרו, but we know what to do with you.
Yeah.
We'll do a midrash.
Listen,
Okay.
I don't know if the question is just for Divrei Yomim. In general, there is no place really that the text or plain pshat is a problem, but something in the Torah itself, Al Nara B'nai Yisrael, that so Al Nara B'nai Yisrael and there is Vel Zatita B'nai Yisrael.
Right. No.
So there's it's just within the Torah itself. Do you find anywhere where it says a problem that there is a word against a
About
word?
S-tiers, what do you mean?
Sure. No, that's a textual problem except in the Chumash. They never have a problem with text. It doesn't seem like
Which text? I don't have what you're saying.
No, I'm trying to.
Chazal ask a lot of times tiers from Psikim.
Between
And being miyashiv. In the Torah.
in the Chumash. In the Chumash, there's a question, text questions.
Right.
What's the right word? What's the right name?
Right. No.
That doesn't seem to exist outside of the Chumash.
What?
Give me examples. I think in the Chumash we speak about that every word means this.
They do ask contradiction for nach and nach.
No, he's talking about textual difficulties in the Chumash. Where do Chazal talk about textual
So
difficulties
I
in the
remember
Chumash?
not even
I'm not talking about
They
textual.
changed it for
It's not
the
text-
Shivim.
it's not
They changed
textual
it.
difficulty.
We will see today.
We're not talking about textual
different
difficulty. This is steerless what the story was, and this is typical kash of the Chazal asked. I understand.
Chazal
It's not textual difficulties. We're talking about basic steers. No,
Yeah.
it's not textual difficulties. I understand what he's saying.
Serious, but there's a lot of it.
And I must say, we have midrashim.
nach and nach.
Chazal said things about this contradiction about Goliath too. They said David and Hanan and all this. So it's not that they didn't see the contradiction and didn't tackle it. They use the midrash to make amends.
The Mara'i kindness about did they burn down the Siren? Did they burn down the Adoshim? That's
Yeah.
the very Yom Tishmos. This is the
Yeah, I didn't bring this one because it was too. Anyway, yes, it's one of the cases. Anyway, I wanted to add another one to the discussion. 12. We know that David bought the Goren, the threshing hold from threshing floor from Ornan or from Aravna. Yeah, in Shmuel is Aravna, in Divrei Hamim is Ornan, and he bought it, and he had to buy it with not just give it, take it as a gift, but in Shmuel, ויקן דוד את הגורן ואת הבקר בכסף שקלים 50, בדברי הימים, וייתן דוד לאורנן במקום שקלי זהב משקל 600. So in Shmuel 50, in דברי הימים 600.
Zahab.
Yeah, Zahav. So usually most people will say the midrash that says that he took 50 from every tribe, and then he got to 600, to 600. The problem is, how did he get from 50 kesef to 600 zahav? That couldn't be, unless you involve alchemy or something like this. So one of the מפרשים here, רבי בנימין מרומי, gives two פירושים. The first is רבנו ישעיה, זה הריד. אמר רבנו ישעיה ז"ל, שגבה מכל שבט 50 שקלים, ויבואו לכולם 600 שקל, ונתן הכסף בדמי הזהב. What does it mean? I don't know. If he gave him kesef or zahav, I don't know, but he did something like giving in gold the weight of, I don't know. I try to understand it and never could really.
I think the shekel azuv, the value of 600 silver.
Yeah, but the 600
Value.
is
Shekel is
the
value.
weight.
It's value. Right?
Yeah.
I know, but
משקל 600, שקלים 50. I don't know. Anyway.
shekel azuv mishkal shekel azuv b'sheshmas kesef.
Yeah, but anyway, he didn't like this perush.
They're trying the best, you know. They're throwing noodles at the wall, you know.
Okay, so agree with me about the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This teretz is a joke. Also.
Yeah. Okay. ולי נראה, says רבי בנימין מרומי, שהמקום ב-600 שקלי זהב והבקר ב-50 שקלי כסף. והמקראות מוכיחים. how. It says in Shmuel, ויקן דוד את הגורן, dot, ואת הבקר בכסף שקלים 50.
Yeah, but the Goren is the Makom.
Yeah. And in דברי הימים it said, ויתן דוד לאורנן במקום, שקלי זהב משקל 600. So in דברי הימים it said how he put for the place. And in Shmuel he says that he bought the place and gave for the בקר כסף שקלים 50. Why? Why to do it? Why will Shmuel says only what he gave for the בקר, and דברי הימים will say about the מקום, and why will David buy this with zahav and this with kesef? It means I don't know. It makes no sense. So again, we have a problem. If I will try to make the problem clearer, not that I have a solution, but to make it clear, I think the problem in most of the cases will be that we have two texts that both are very clear. If the problem is that we have two texts, but every text in itself is very, very clear. It's not problematic. It's not textually unclear. It's very clear, very easy to understand. But then we have a different version who says a different thing.
Can you clarify that? So you're saying the variations that you find, let's use 50 variations of that. You don't find that there's often going to be a problem in one of the texts in and of itself?
You mean of all the contradiction in the Devarim?
Yeah. Are you saying that?
Okay,
so you would expect that it's
yeah,
going to be
so
cases where it's difficult on its own.
When we start to go through the possible explanations, this is one of the explanations. That
The
we
first
have.
one was.
But didn't you say a minute ago now that you said that the real problem is because every pasuk in himself could be explained, it's not so difficult. That's why it makes it harder, this contradiction. Now you're saying not like that?
No, just like that.
I just want to ask one thing. Let's say if I'm going to tell you, it's not my terrace, you know that better than me. I'm just trying to start to figure out that yes, there is a contradiction, but it's two perspectives, how to look at it. One was from the Beit David, and one was from the outside. Let's say Halbatal says on Shmuel that it's more outside. It's not from Beit David and not from Beit Shaul. Let's say Divrei Yamim is Beit David, and there's two perspectives. Now it's interesting. Even normally, you don't fight on the facts, but we do know. When you fight on the facts, I don't look on the pasuk that's come to tell the story more than a narrative, and that's why it's not a stira at all.
I want to add something.
It's not a stira. Who says it's stira? So someone's going to ask, if someone has a problem with how could it be? It's come from Hashem. I have not a problem because this is how Hashem gave it. I don't care. What's the difference? The point is, Mama don't have a problem. But this is one point of view or one point of view. Now we're going to have to figure out why this Shinuyim changes the point of view. Okay, we'll have to do a lot of work. But I'm saying, what's bad with this idea?
I want to add to him because when I saw the last example, there's an American narrative that we bought Manhattan for $24.
Exactly.
Because they sold 60 guilders, and there is a few parts. What's 60 guilders today? They had the same thing, and then it says that the Indians they were translated that they're selling land, but to them selling land meant some sort of rights in the land. They didn't actually plan to sell Manhattan for $24. So just imagine the Indians would.
It's Indian version. There's such a version,
and both of them have like.
Yeah, and it could be told differently, but it's only someone that doesn't have that. I don't care about the fact. The fact is something outside of the parsha. Well, I care what he wants to tell me. This is how he wants to tell me. This is what I want to tell you.
The bottom line will be this. Of course, I think this is the way to see it, and I only want to.
But you have to then be mefaresh. Why?
Yes, but first I want.
Even without being mefaresh, this is 2 point of view.
Yeah, but first I want to show like places when we can't say it's a different point of view, but it's really a contradiction, a factual contradiction. It can't be that this happened and this happened.
Okay, but even that I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that when there's two perspectives that it can even happen differently. I'm saying it because I don't think you're looking like that. That okay, the pasuk what it tells me doesn't have to tell me. It's just tell me perspective. It's not. but there is a story, a fact outside that happened, yeah? So you say when the two stories are contradictory, it can be two perspectives. I'm not even sure about that.
Who killed Shlomo Rabbi?
Not even sure that it's a story. I'm not sure there's a story outside of the story. I mean, say for sure there is some type of story, but it's not so.
This is about.
Yeah, it's not this about. So I'm trying to say is, why is there a problem when it contradicts?
Well, first of all, I agree with you. It's not a problem. This is what I will say at the bottom line.
Okay.
But in a different manner because of all what you say.
Right.
But still, you know that what you just said, it's Chiddush.
Right, sure, no, sure.
I think Chazal don't accept that, right?
Why?
I mean, because why do Chazal ask the steers?
No, I said that
No.
they don't have to
Chazal,
No,
I
but
think
sometimes they do.
I
It's gonna be a method.
did think. I don't know if
Because they
Chazal
agree
had.
method to that.
I'm not too sure Chazal didn't think that. I do think.
No, I think Chazal could have, but I think they didn't because they do ask some of the contradictions.
I
So
think
that's-
we will see
that's
Chazal
something.
say it. So
Some contradictions.
He said,
We'll see.
he said we'll see Chazal.
Okay,
say
great.
it. Okay.
I could see Chazal.
I'm
say
just
it. I'm
asking,
wondering
why
if
do you
that's
think
the-
people would have a theological problem with such a kind of?
the first reason will be because they think that everything written in the Bible is a fact. A fact. If you say that something in the Bible it didn't happen, you're a kofer.
Okay, but so the
That's the
Taisus
reason.
in Rosh Hashanah, the Yerushalmi that says there's a date in Sefer Yechiel,
Yeah.
that's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's saying exactly what you're saying.
Melachim.
What? Is it
Melachim.
Melachim?
Yeah.
Bilbul,
Yeah.
whatever the expression is. Because it was a war, so it's it's portraying the story from the perspective of someone who doesn't know the date, and
Right.
that's the literary purpose
It's
of
not
doing
stealing.
that.
This is the way Moshe Shemayim wanted to give it to us.
So, okay.
Said
But
it.
it was a tout.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let's see what Mefarshim try to do, like 1,000 years, and see why we can't have this. Okay, so after the usual explanation of trying to solve the contradiction, as we saw in Rabbi Binyamin Meromi, it's usually going to be a problem because if we have again two texts that are very clear, and we try to make amends, it usually means that one of them will take out of the pshat. Because we see a very clear text, and now we read it differently only because of another text. It's a imminent problem. So there are several cases that they can show that Mefarshim tried to go in a different way. So one of them is the same story about David and Goren Aravna, but before in the part of the Mifkad, when he counted Israel, and then it was of course the reason for the Magifa. So in Shmuel, it's number 15. In Shmuel it said that Israel was 800,000 איש חיל שולף חרב, ויש יהודה 500,000 איש. That was the number that Yoav gave David. In דברי הימים says, ויתן יואב את מספר מפקד העם את דוד, ויהי כל ישראל 1,100,000 איש שולף חרב, ויהודה 470,000. So it's not 800,000, it's 1,100.
You see, always the Divrei Hayamim always like, exaggerates more. It's the more the base, it makes bigger the base David.
Usually.
Less accurate, let's say, from a perspective of someone outside. This is how it looks like. You know?
Usually in the Hayamim it exaggerates. Yeah.
That's what Rashi says. But Rashi in the Yom Alaf Tazuf says, the Fisher Seifer Divrei Hayamim B'Shvil Kvod Beis David. You're familiar with the Rashi, right?
Yeah.
The Ficher Einkesiv Kam Amar Michal. It's like a
You
censored
can
book.
see Rashi almost says that.
I mean, it's Vichas Rashi, but it says in there.
No,
It doesn't say it changes its information. It leaves it,
It's-
No, of course.
It's censored.
Yeah, but that's different than
Rashi-
saying he could exaggerate.
Could have censored.
It didn't lie.
It didn't lie. That's right.
Yeah.
That's called revision.
So the question is, of course, is how far will they go?
How far man soll suchen die Sache, no?
Yeah. In this case, המיוחס רבי יוסף קרא adds a simpler solution. וכאן הוא אומר 1,100,000, ובספר שמואל הוא אומר 800,000. לפי פשוטו, אין לתמוה, מפני הספרים שמצא. Yeah, what does it mean? It's going back to what we see in מיוחס לרש"י in several cases, that Ezra had several ספרים, and he found in this one one version and the second one a different version, and he went according to אחרי רבים לאתוס. And when he had like two different versions, it's not רבים, he gave us both. This is what
But
Michal
Ezra
Sarashi
לא
said.
כתב ספר שמואל. What is he saying? Ezra didn't write ספר שמואל. So.
No,
No, in דברי הימים.
Right, but here we're talking about a contradiction from Devarim to Shmuel.
Yeah, so
So-
when he had, like, according to the Rov, he had one version, but it's not like Shmuel.
Like what we
He
have.
will still bring the.
Well, but I'm asking,
the
why
different
did
one.
Ezra rely on Shmuel? How
Because
did
there was various versions of
wait,
Shmuel.
did it?
Of Shmuel? No. Why did Ezra himself? No, Shmuel is Sefer Shmuel is already canonized, I guess.
No, he's saying
No,
different.
no.
right?
Because he has a couple of
First of all,
Shmuels.
it was the canon, and I must add, just as a.
He's saying he has a couple of Shmuels.
No,
Nothing is canonized. I'm saying from a
yeah,
perspective,
just
his
as a
perspective.
footnote.
Must
We
add.
know about a different version of Shmuel from Qumran, and it's the same as Targum HaShivim. And in many cases, this version of Shmuel is like the
Dvray
Yemen.
Yemen?
So you think that's what he's saying? That's what he's kind of
No,
saying?
no.
So what's he
But-
saying? I'm trying to understand what he's
But
saying.
what he says is easier. It doesn't matter what Shmuel says.
Okay.
He goes according to what
As
he
the
had.
head of Yisrael, had Shmuel, had Dvray Yemen.
Maybe he had a different Shmuel, like the Qumran one.
Also different facts. Also different facts. What do the historical?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, but the question is, what did he have? He had text. We're talking about facts like hundreds of years before him. So what was getting to
It
him?
doesn't solve the problem. Logically, it doesn't solve the problem.
No.
No, the Ezra Kar doesn't solve any logical problem. He's just pushing the
No,
problem back
but there is
further.
not-
Yeah.
I have a steer with the Devarim and Shmuel. The answer is
but
one
the-
wrote Devarim.
Yeah, but he's trying to
an or text.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so the
this
question is
one
on the
in
or
the-
text.
Yeah, I agree
That's right.
completely.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
it's
he's doing.
because it's trying. First of all, it does solve. First of all, it tells you stop trying to solve the problem. That's a very important
pushing
thing.
it back to another
That's
text.
a very
That's
important
nothing.
thing.
Yeah.
That you could say that, but he pushes it back to another text. I just don't begin to understand.
No, but
Why not?
first of all,
Because he's saying it's not Ezra. Don't blame it on Ezra.
He
Blame it
said
on
it's just two versions.
no, but
Finish.
Yeah, but
Doesn't say the version of Shmuel. Don't say that.
What
You
was
say that. He's
what
not saying
was
that.
our problem with the contradictions? That where it couldn't be ta'ut in the Tanakh, and he says yes, it is.
Yeah, but
Okay.
what Rebbe Schneier is saying,
And
well, you
why?
don't have to say there was a Tuas Shmuel. Maybe we have two variations of Ezra, and the wrong Ezra got to us. I mean, Divrei Yomam.
Oh, it's the same as Shmuel.
It's not the same.
Why?
Shmuel is a more important cipher than Divrei Yomam.
No,
Why?
it doesn't matter. Shibushim
You know,
will go to you.
That's what he says.
No,
it's
it-
older.
No matter
It's much older.
That's not older. Why is it older? No.
Yeah. No, why would we think that if
The
Shmuel
same
is
time.
more
What do you mean?
important?
When Ezra had this book Dvray Yemen, he also had it from that Tkufa. What do you mean? People now, it's the same Tkufa. It's a Shmuel and Dvray Yemen. It's
Shmuel,
No, it's, hundreds of years be-
Hundreds
But
of
the
years
books that
before.
Ezra
What?
had,
Thousands
no,
of
he's saying,
Hundreds of years
but the books that
No,
Ezra was
Dvray Yemen?
consulting were
Yeah.
also
Why would he say
ancient.
that?
That's
You don't know
what-
who wrote Dvray Yemen?
We know that it was written in by Cheney.
Oh, we know it was written after Shmuel. Ah.
Well,
No, but
hundreds
the
of
Sfam
years.
Shehum Matzah
Right.
were already could be.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah. No, it's clear that Divrei Yamim used a version of Shmuel and Melachim. That's clear. We will see cases of
Okay.
exact verse, and of course Shmuel and Melachim was written before Divrei Yamim, before by Cheney. So it's very clear. Anyway, so we had one idea of solving the problems. One idea of saying that it's okay to have the problems, that it's only different traditions. And again,
Now comes the most famous source.
you want the
The most
Shagasaya?
famous
Yeah,
source.
we want it.
Okay, want to read it?
No, you can read it. I'm saying the
I was
famous
going to
source.
skip it, but
Imagine
No one can say
Neria,
what
if the
you-
Shagas Ayed wouldn't tell this for us.
Right.
How much longer it would be legitimate for Talmud Chacham to think like that?
yeah.
Imagine.
Say it.
And in a sense,
Imagine if the Talmud Chacham would say a lot of other things that they were so poshut for them, and we wouldn't have the problem.
What's the difference also between him and...
so
The big
let's read it.
difference, and Shagas Ayed looked this.
Yes,
The Shagasaya says.
fell on him.
The Shagasaya
Just
asked,
a
asked a question about one verse in the
Just
genealogy
a
of
guy.
Shimon.
What?
About Shimon, Divrei Yamim said that there was they conquered the land and they was there ad hayom hazeh. But there was a galut. So what is ad hayom hazeh? So he says, ויש לו אמר, דעזרא העתיק דברי הימים מכמה ספרים שמצא, כמו שכתבתי שם, משום הכי ייחוס הדורות אינן על הסדר, גם יש סתירות הרבה מיני ובי ומדברי הימים לספר עזרא. That's I don't understand. דברי הימים יש ספר עזרא, to any other book. כי בספר אחד מצא כן, ובספר אחד כן, וכמו שמצא, כן העתיק. And he said that this is the reason why you have עד היום הזה, which is not really עד היום הזה, because this is what was written in the source.
But his source was מן הסתם פרש המיוחס, no?
I don't know, because it wasn't so known.
No, was known then?
The first time רבי יוחס רבי יוסף קרא was published in press,
Right.
was מקרא זולות הכתר. So it's
What did you say, when?
in מקרא זולות הכתר.
It's a new thing.
I did it. So
Saying
it wasn't yeah.
So you think Shagasari thought of it
So you
himself, said the
understand
same thing as the
but you
Bielcaro?
understand- So, but you know what? You have to first understand this. But if you, this is a very significant thing that the Shagasari is writing that. It's a huge, major thing.
Yeah, but this is only
And
because
I want to understand how did he had this to say that?
it was the Shagasari.
I understand, but, it's
But
like
first of all, it
something
wasn't the
interesting.
only one, because in the same area exactly.
Yeah.
But we are Ashkenazim, so
Right.
we don't like it. But Rabbi Rafael Bardugo, one of the most prominent Rabbanim of Morocco,
Rafael Bardugo is the one that writes that there's two Yeshayas.
or Ishaya himself. Anyway.
No, he writes this.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm saying it's so interesting.
Yeah, it was
Zeitgeist.
How do the scholars
yeah, it's exactly Zeitgeist.
Right, but how do the
Zeitgeist.
scholars explain that? They have an explanation. What happened then that we meet? I'm not asking the question that we meet two in this side, guys, right? But how they explain the Shagasari? The thing that could no one. Is there any explanation for that?
I never
What
tried.
happened?
Where you got it from?
Yeah, when he got it from. What do you mean? Was it
I don't know, must have been
Mainstream.
Mainstream, it's
very when the muscles that who was the
Yeah, even though I think
You see, it's
the father
no,
goes back.
anyone that learns Shagasari knows the data Rechova from Shagasari, but still it's like something to understand. How did he there?
I have a lot to say about that, but it will be too much. So,
Something says a nutshell.
yeah, I think I try to say that the farther you go back in time, you see more te'uza.
Right.
Because Rashi says
first of all, there's no pushback. There's no baskilim. There's no.
yeah,
pushback.
but you also see them saying it like in a very concise manner. So you can't say like mahalach shalem of like Shagasari, because they didn't write like this. So Rashi says like 3 words that everyone can understand however they want, and then
So it's easier to do that, you're saying?
yeah,
Easier to
but
do
then
that.
so we say no one did it before. They
Yeah, but
thought
no one
before.
did it, and as one blank statement. That's what he said.
Because the Achronim says blunt statements.
Shagasari said 100
Yes.
times in debates of the Shonim in a very
Right,
strong.
but still, it's not to show them.
Right. Thing to say, so somebody that was so
100%. So I said that's a Rechova from Shagasari,
Yeah.
and he could debate the Shonim, but still interesting. It was interesting to know.
Anyway, so I think we saw most
Somebody would today be thrown out from shul.
That's what I said. I said, Baruch Hashem,
Yeah.
I said that. Stell the fool was not
What is the conservative theory of the Ming with a small c? That Ezra, meaning that Ezra like had a Masorah about Debray. How did he compose Debray so long after the?
what scholarship says or
No,
what
no, no.
The conservative from like what's the like
The from and
traditional
then
idea?
Ruach HaKodesh, no?
Ruach is it? Yeah.
because it's in Ktuvim, but it's
does it
we don't
mean?
have any tradition of what to say
Did he
because
look in a
it's
safe
Divrei
book?
Yamim and no one says anything about Divrei Yamim. So so I think we don't know. What's the tradition about Divrei Yamim? Tradition is not to learn Divrei Yamim. This is tradition. We are untraditional here. So anyway,
Because we can only be shocked if we know what even if we define what the conservative.
no, but of course
Right.
the fact
Right.
that the Divrei Yamim give us all these problems. This is why they just put it aside and said we don't touch it.
But let's say, to amplify Mikey's point, does it say anything in Chazal ever about Ezra having a Sefer Yochsin that he consulted? Because if it does, then it's already the conservative point of view to say that Ezra's working. Is there any mention of such a
They
thing?
said this, but they also said that it's supposed to be midrash, and we need to make it midrash.
Right, but the idea of there being a Sefer Yochsin
but-
comes from Chazal, right?
yeah,
That's the
but-
thing. Shagasai didn't make it up.
But again, I'm trying to put aside all the genealogies part because that's
Right.
will make it even more complex.
Right.
Okay, one of the craziest contradictions is number 20. what would happen to the ships of Yehoshaphat. In Malachim it says, Yehoshaphat עשה אוניות תרשיש ללכת אופירה לזהב. He wanted to go to bring gold from Ophir, like Shlomo. ולא הלך כי נשברו אוניות בעציון גבר. Then the ships were broken, and then אז אמר אחזיהו בן אחאב אל יהושפט, ילכו עבדיי עם עבדיך באוניות, ולא עבה יהושפט. He didn't agree to go with Achazyahu because he's the son of Ahab.
The Melech Yisrael wanted to help the Melech David, right?
After the ships
Ships from that base David got broken, and he said, "I'm going to provide you the ships," and he didn't accept.
Where is that? Up north by Marachi?
No, Atzigaver is Eilat. It's
Eilat, down to sunset.
It's Yam Suf. Okay?
Ophir is Africa, yeah?
Ophir is supposed to be Africa because you're going to Yam Suf.
Yeah.
It could be Yemen or something like this. But
it's not the same word? It's the Ophir is a low Africa.
Oh, because of fear in Africa? I never thought about this. I don't think
Yemen is not Africa.
No,
Ophir.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Ophir is not Africa.
gold is in Africa.
Anyway, in Divrei Hayamim we have a different story.
Well, what's the story though, that they wanted to go together to help them?
Was he just saying that he offered?
They had their own ships, type of thing?
Two different kingdoms.
I know, but in order to bring ships from
David's ships got broken.
Yes, so in order to bring from Malchi Yisrael, they were up north, no?
No, but they had.
How would they come around there to Eilat?
If we go back to Shlomo, he went with the
Mediterranean. This is a different scene.
Yeah, but Shlomo went through the same place, through Etzion Gever, through Eilat.
To where they want to get to feed, they have to go through Eilat.
Yeah, but then he went with the men of Hiram.
Yeah.
We don't have a water from Hebron to...
He's asking where were the ships in the Beit David?
Yeah, where were the Malchi Yisrael? Where did they park?
By Yisrael.
Malchi David.
Malchi David broke.
They would make the ships there in the dock.
Yeah, so they paid. I don't know who controlled that part. In that
era, Malchi Yehuda.
Malchi Yehuda.
All the way from Yerushalayim
How did the
down.
Malchi had ships to which?
No, they had men.
A man.
He knows what to do with
fix the ships. A man to
This is what I'm trying to say. That
Send
in
UN
Shlomo's time, if you go back,
convoy.
Shlomo went with the men of Hiram of Tyre,
right?
because they were very good at sea. And then Achav married Izebel, who was also a Tidonite, which means the same idea. They knew what to do with ships.
So he wanted to send
Yeah, it's exactly the same idea that Achazia wanted to help Yehoshaphat, like Hiram wanted to help Shlomo.
Right.
But then he didn't want to.
Like
because
Israel
it's
sends experts to different countries.
But in Divrei Hayamim we have a different story completely. ואחרי כן, את חבר יהושפט מלך יהודה עם אחזיה מלך ישראל, הוא הרשיע לעשות, ויחברהו עמו לעשות אוניות ללכת תרשיש, ויעשו אוניות בעציון גבר. They did do it together, and it wasn't a good thing to do. And then, ויתנבא אליעזר בן דודבהו ממרשה על יהושפט לאמור, כי התחברך עם אחזיהו פרץ השם את מעשיך, וישברו אוניות ולא עצרו ללכת אל תרשיש. Why did they got broken? Because he did it with Achazia.
The canoe.
In other words, the Divrei Hayamim wants to say, let's say if we go with this narrative that this is a Beis David, so he wants to explain, because by just the pasuk in Malachim, just an unsuccessful story brings doubt on the Bechira and Beis David. So here he explains because he was choteh, that's why it happened.
But then, which story?
Yeah, no, I'm just asking. If you go with this perspective.
No, with this perspective, which story put Jehoshaphat in a better light?
What?
Which story puts Jehoshaphat in a better light?
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's protecting always this specific king or he's protecting the Beis David.
Yeah, well,
could be by protecting the Beis David is by saying that he did a chet. That's why he was unsuccessful.
Yeah, but you are correct. But in Divrei Hayamim, first of all, he is very fond of David and Shlomo, but not the other kings. So,
why? Because I'm saying even though he's a Beis David, but it means to say he's pro Beis David of David and Shlomo, and the other ones that are unsuccessful is because they're chatom. That's why they're unsuccessful. No?
Yeah, but the main idea of Divrei Hayamim, one of the main ideas according to what we know today, is the idea of Gmul. Like if you do good, you will get prospered. and if you do bad, so you will get punished.
Schar v'onish?
Schar v'onish, gmul, yeah. So this is what I think he wanted to add here, because he had a story about Yehoshaphat was a good king, and then his ships got broken. So we need to do something about this story. And what he did, he just flipped it upside down and said, no. The reason why they got broken is because he was going with Achaziyahu, who Irshia Lasot. Anyway, we have two different stories here. Inside these stories, we have another tiny contradiction that I wanted to talk about. Where did they go? Or where did they want to go? In Melachim, they wanted to go to Ophir. In דברי הימים, לעשות אוניות ללכת תרשיש.
I know Ophir and Tarshish.
Okay. But we know where you need to go if you want to go to Tarshish. Where?
From Yaffo.
Yeah, Yaffo, like
Nimrah, you want to?
yeah.
Nimrah.
No, if you want to run from
Right.
Nimrah,
Can't go from
to
Etzion
go to
Not
Tarshish.
Etzion
You
Gover.
can't go from Etzion
Yeah.
Gover.
Yeah, so it means that if you want to, if you need Yaffo to go to
Tarshish
Tarshish,
moy, אבל למה נקרא...
yeah, but if you need Yaffo to go to Tarshish, it means that Tarshish is somewhere in the Mediterranean.
Right.
Okay.
Ah, the Barbanel is the question.
Okay, so the Abarbanel says, ואומנם מה שנאמר בדברי הימים ביהושפט,
Tuas Moed.
עם אחזיה מלך ישראל, וישברו אוניות וכו', הוא קשה עד מאוד.
That's how we approached it. קשה עד מאוד.
כי הנה עציון גבר העיד הכתוב שהיה על
שפת ים סוף.
ותרשיש היה בים הגדול.
Mediterranean Sea.
ולא היה אם כן אפשר שמעציון גבר ילכו לשם. And אברבנאל he sees this as so
It's a big error.
harsh
But we said we only sent man to fix, so that's such a
yeah,
question.
and then he said, ואולי טעה עזרא. Maybe he was mistaken. עזרא טעה. במה שמצא כתוב במלוכים, שעשה יהושפט אוניות תרשיש, בחושבו שהיו האוניות ההם ללכת תרשיש.
What is on your Tarshish?
ואינו כן, כי הם היו ללכת אופירה. זה פסוק says. ועל תבניתם אמר אוניות תרשיש.
The model was Anir Tarshish.
Yeah.
Tarshish is the name,
Tarshish
the
model.
name of the building.
Tarshish
company.
Tarshish brothers.
והוא אם כן טעות ביד עזרא הסופר. That's the fourth explanation.
Sail ships or row ships, Tarshish.
But as usual, Malbim doesn't like when Abarbanel says things like this. And he says, הרי, רבי יצחק אברבנאל, 22, חשב כי תרשיש היא העיר קרתגו. Carthage. הוא חשב שתרשיש היא העיר קרתגו, בצפון אפריקה, על יד הים התיכון. ועל ידי כן הרבה לתמוע איך הלכו אוניות מעצם גבר שהוא על שפת ים סוף לתרשיש. ורצה לדחוק שנקראו אוניות תרשיש, השם תורתם, לדחוק. שנעשו כתבנית האוניות האלה. אבל עמד לנגדו מה שכתוב בדברי הימים ב', והפליאה הזאת מלאה עד לבבו לומר שעזרא הסופר טעה. וחלילה לנו מזה הדעת שנאמר שכותב דברי הימים טעה ושלא ידע פשט הכתוב במלוכים ושלא ידע שאי אפשר ללכת מסתן גבר לתרשיש באונייה. אבל האמת אין. What is the אמס? שתרשיש היא עיר תרזיס. It's not קרתגו. את תרזיס, שהיא היספניין הקדומה, שהייתה רוכלת הצוריים בספרד, כמו שכתבו חכמי העמים, ונודע כי הצוריים בבואם לספרד, אשר כינו בשם היספניה, על שם שהשפנים נמצאו שם לרוב. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Me too. So they found, ומצאו כסף
The whole
מזוקק.
thing is a Spania, is Swad, it's
a midrash.
It's a midrash, it's not the Pashut Pshat.
מצאו כסף מזוקק על פני הארץ.
Spania is Spanim because Sfina, Spain is Sfina.
Shafan means bunnies, rabbits.
Yeah.
Ne?
ונודע כצוריים בבואם לספרד, מצאו כסף מזוקק על הארץ הרבה מאוד, שזה ובנו להם עיר מושב, I go farther, והעיר הזאת יושבת במבואת ים האטלנטי, שהוא ים אוקיינוס. It's on the west shores of Spain. וידוע שים סוף נכנס לים אוקיינוס. ולפי זה באוניות שבנה בעציון גבר היה יכול ללך בין לאופיר בין לתרשיש.
וזה רק מיישב את היישוב.
וחלילה שיבוא בכתובים דבר מכחיש המציאות.
But it doesn't, it's not miyashiv, the other contradiction.
Yeah, first of all, we must say
there could be.
How does it connect?
Not ready to
Connect?
push the thing. Say makisha mitziyut. This too far.
The Yamsuf is not going into the
No, first of all,
Only until they didn't build the canal, the Yamsuf didn't connect to the ocean.
Okay, no, but you have two.
You have walk, you have gateways?
Yeah, one of them was connected to Yam Tichon, but what Malbim says is that the other one, of Elat, of Eshon Gever, goes from Yam Suf. Yam Suf is going to the Oceanus, to the ocean, to the
Arabian
Indian
Sea.
Oceans, and then you can
Go
go
round and
around
round.
Africa
Yeah.
and go to the west shore of Spain.
Yeah, you could also go to America.
Yeah. וחלילה שיבוא בכתובים דבר מכריע.
נוחם מקים דרך ארץ קדושה.
No, and when you see it on the map, you can see that going from Tarsus to Carthago it's slightly different than if you go around all Africa, it's not so different. If you have Gibraltar, so I don't know. It's
What are you talking about? You have to go all the way to South Africa and come back up.
no, you have to go around Africa,
Yeah, you have to go
Yeah.
all
All
the
the
way.
way around the bottom.
but Africa is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not so convincing. And of course, if Malbim is right, you have another problem because what he says is that yes, they did go to where? To Tarshish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it's clear in Melachim that they went to
Ophir.
Ophir. Yeah.
But the answer on all your questions
It's
on the
interesting
Malbim
that he
is,
doesn't say
Yeah.
that he has
the
to
end
go
where he
up to
writes. Once you have this v'chel, if he can't say, let's say the same thing about
Yeah,
what I
but I
said,
don't
then he must say.
I don't
some type of-
understand the Chalila Sheva B'Ktuvim as the thing that we must do it like this because we have to make it factual.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the bottom line. Like after I said all this, you see that.
This is how you think?
Yeah.
You don't think
Chalila
it-
Sheva B'Ktuvim, דבר מכחיש מציאות. So here it is. You see that it's not מכחיש המציאות.
Are you sure? Maybe it's fakir. Maybe it's because I have this perception. Then I'm gonna have to make you the story.
The story,
Yeah,
the
but
message.
still, you made a story that's still מכחיש המציאות.
Okay.
So
Okay, and also we don't know. Maybe they went to the Arctic Ocean from the north.
Anyway, I think we agree that we have two different stories here, and one of them is to Tarshish, one of them is to Ophir, one of
What
them
was
is.
he thinking when he said it like that?
I
This
don't
is-
know. I really don't know.
Well, there is, well, he had
It's
too
so not.
many
It's so,
obscure
I think
mistakes.
it's so wrong. The question you're asking.
Like why?
Why? Because that's what I said. When you see these words, "V'chalila sheyav b'ksiv davar makrish hamitziut," that once if you have this, if this is in the Kiddush Hanukkah where he starts, what I think, then it's not a question what you answer. What was he thinking? He thinks that you can't say like the Abarbanel said. So, what do you mean? What is he thinking?
Machesh HaMetzias. Machesh HaMetzias. He has a problem that there's no path from the ocean to.
He has a
You can put it
problem-
on wheels.
he
You
has
can
a
put it on a million things. If you want to be funny and cutesy, you know?
That's funny and cute. That's the point. But it's not.
It's very funny to say that the
that's not-
ships
no,
traveled
it's not
around the
funny.
ocean,
It's not-
into
it's
the
fun-
Atlantic
it's
Ocean,
fun- no,
down
it's
to
not. It's funny when
Arabia.
you're cynical about it. When you're very sincere that he believes that it can be true about Benel's Mahalach.
Then it's not a question. You can say that they pushed it on wheels. They can carry it on the shoulders like the Meraglim. They can do a lot of things. So nobody told you how big the ships is. Maybe it's a canoe.
Okay.
Anyway, when we agree that Malbim's idea is not so convincing, what we're left is what we're left with is Abarbanel's. Is it the only possibility that it's a mistake?
There's a very
Or
bad
two
mistake.
versions.
No, but it's a
That's what I
version.
said.
It's a version that makes no sense
Why
because
is the version
they
make
go
no sense?
they go to Tarshish from Etzion Gever.
Ah.
It's a problem.
Oh, that version, man. Yeah, I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer to that.
Is any answer? Any other answer? in that?
Could you say Lamachas Tarshish is the way of saying
I
it means
don't. I
Tarshish?
don't see
Wow.
any.
Okay.
No, I didn't see
But
any.
this is scary because there's one thing to say this is this version. I'm saying even the Shagasai never said such a thing. This thing that the Barbanel said is something much scarier than me than the Shagasai. Shagasai, okay, there's this version. Now you're saying something that's Makrish HaMetziut. It's like
Yeah, but how did the versions of Shagasarye came to life?
so. Let's say my explanation is there is a sofer from Bet David. There is a sofer that is more.
No. I will explain it further. If you say it's an intentional version,
Yeah.
someone wanted to be more.
Yes, this is what I'm
Davidic.
trying to say. Yeah.
Okay, so I can say that it wasn't a version. It was Ezra, for example.
Yeah?
It was Ezra himself who wanted to do this idea of being more
I have no
pro-David.
problem. Call it Ezra. I don't care who it
You
is.
just put it on the versions and not on Ezra, but it's not
Okay,
different.
masculine.
But if like in this examples, you see a version that makes no sense, and then you try to free Ezra from the problem and say it's not Ezra, it was in
so this is what
the...
I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that the Shagas Ayah didn't go so far as the Abarbanel, because Abarbanel is like saying,
No, I understand, but if you don't say what Abarbanel said, what will you do with this?
I don't know, but I'm just saying what he says is so scary, because if you say Torah Sofer, then okay, maybe he made also Torah Sofer with others. It's like I'm just saying I think that I'm saying I for myself I have no way to live with this word Torah Sofer, because it's very scary. Once you say this Torah Sofer and the whole Masorah is Nisbach and Ezra, it's quite. I'm saying the Shagas Ayah never said such a thing.
How do you
What?
see this different than the Tosis Rosh Hashanah? Why is this any different to you? A date that's false. It's a mistake.
Because it could be.
I tell you why, but
No, what I think is because a date is false. Okay, so this, let's say we copy this date, yeah. But here is something that it's
Okay, so he copied the people. There was a thing that people were confused, and he copied that also for some reason.
right.
And so he wasn't aware of it. He was not only not
Maybe
Presenting the confusion.
Maybe
There was a report in the paper about
you convinced me.
What you introduced that link?
It's hard to say that the Nuvi Hashem doesn't know the
No, it's not hard.
Apocrypha.
It's only hard for childish mind. I think it doesn't have what Nevi is. I'm saying the Nevi is not coming here to give. I'm saying it's nothing.
But the problem
It's only
is
hard when you make it hard.
translated
No, it's
the
only hard.
Oisias, he wrote Savashiras.
It's only hard when you start with the Kedat Hanoch. It's hard.
Yeah, but Ezra Soif is also responsible for editing Savashiras, right?
No, so what?
It's so if he's not a reliable scribe, Chaz v'shalom.
No,
he's
not reliable. That's the
reliable
point.
to his divine
It's
inspiration.
reliable to what he's dedicated. Don't worry. It's not so important for him. This diik. Okay.
yeah. So I try to
I'm
be
saying always
more,
the kasha comes with the kiddush hanocha that you make. It's so important. Oh, it's not important.
Yeah.
He's gonna tell you now what's important. Don't force something on him. No.
Yeah, if you take something from academic scholarship, in the case of stating that it is a mistake, scribal error, we have some methodology to decide if it's more probable or not. It's a different hero, but
Right.
If it's
The glasser, it's could be.
yeah, you need if you have real versions of it, if you have a reasoning to how it happened,
Right.
if you can show what happened
You
exactly.
could show what happened.
Yeah, and still after all that, you have some people will say other explanations to this.
No, but I'm just saying. I think a lot of times the pella that we have on things is because we make the kiddush hanochas. Then we say, "Wow," and then it brings kashas of people. Don't make so much hanochas. Let the posik speak for himself and finish. Don't make so much hanochas. Then if someone's going to read, oh, it's a pekoyer because it doesn't. What do you mean? Why? You made this hanocha, then you're trying.
So I think one of the anachas that they say, and I think it's coming from a good place, is that the Tanakh doesn't lie. And this is because they take all the history of the Tanakh to be history. And if they try to say what happened, then if it didn't happen, it's a lie.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say.
No,
I don't
of
look at it
course,
as a lie. That's not the truth.
Yeah.
The Tanakh comes to tell me.
But we need a different genre
right?
to
So
put it on.
we'll figure it out after we learn it. Yeah.
Yeah, this
We're
is what
doing
I'm trying to
that.
do.
This we're doing that.
The Gemara Medrash brings somewhere this pasuk.
Which one?
Sabercha and Chaskiyahu, part of Shem Masech, that you're not allowed to be mischaber in Rishon.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah. So first of all, just for the fun of it, Rabbi Yosef ibn Kaspi is always more chutzpah.
Yeah.
He says, "Ve'ulam omar lecha klal." He says this as a rule. כי אין ראוי לדקדק בזה הספר, כמו בספר שכתב משה רבנו, שהיה מן השמיים. כי אין זה, דברי הימים, רק קיצור ובחירה מזה הכותב. ולכן ישמיט וישנה ככל אשר בחר. אני תמיד אוהב לומר על זה שזה להשמיט, לערוך ולעבד.
Dragic didn't see this.
להשמיט, לערוך ולעבד.
Very good.
מי שצריך להסביר לו.
So the pasuk is okay, he's saying la'aruch la'abed.
Scholar different Torah, scholar
To
Yiddish.
erase, to edit, and to redact.
We just have to note, but you see the difference, let's say, how the Barbanel says something and how Ibn Kaspi. Ibn Kaspi is Ibn Kaspi, just saying.
Yeah.
This te'uzah, this is a part of this person, yeah?
No, but let's finish it. And this is הלא תראה אומרו סדר השבטים בבלבול, גם יזכיר מות ער ולא עונן, גם יקצר בעניין תמר, ואולי זה. ובכל ספר ראוי לדקדק, כפי מעלת מחברו. So, אל תדקדק עם דברי הימים.
He's not the best writer.
Yeah.
Does he think Ezra wrote it? He doesn't think Ezra wrote it, I guess.
I don't think there's any reservation on that. Ezra is not Moshe Rabbeinu.
That's what he means.
I think. Oh, it's not Ezra, but I don't mind either way.
Right. No, but he seems to be dismissive of the author.
Yeah, but when it's not so miraculous book, it's still you need to say why it's in the Bible. So ואם בלי ספק באו בזה הספר עניינים נכבדים, ולכן נכלל בחשבון ספרי הקודש. יש שם דברים חשובים. We need it.
Divine inspiration.
What is the things that we know that is, I'm sorry,
We have many things that we are
that we know it's needed for, in other words. This week we had one bit with has to do with
you have many things that no one knows that it's only from Divrei Hamim.
Peit Chamar.
What?
On Peit Chamar, we had Divrei Yomen says that Ezra. What is the importance of it?
Again, if we talk about importance to traditions, I don't know. For example, the fact that Har HaMoriah is Yerushalayim, is Har HaBayit.
But this one thing.
No, it's one of the things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things.
No, I'm trying to send if Chazal saw all these contradictions and they canonized it because he says it was made in Baishani. So
well, that's even Casper.
We don't know exactly what the reason of Canada.
It could also mean lessons.
It's
It could also mean moral lessons.
Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
The kind of matter, and if I just say in the room was Magastin and how did it work? How many years? How did it take? What was the decisions? No one knows. You can make up anything.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
Since we don't have much time, so I just skip to the idea that I think we have a genre that we can use to understand Divrei Hamim. Because if Divrei Hamim is saying whatever he wants against the traditions of Shmuel and Melachim, and it's not lying, it's just a different
perspective.
I don't know even if perspective is the right. I don't know. When we see the
narrative,
I think what he does is kind of midrash, and Sechel Tov I think says something like this in 26.
This is really what Chazal say. No, they say you need to darshan it. No, it's not true. They say you need to darshan it. It's not that he's saying midrash.
Yeah, but
Sechel Tov says okay. Let's see.
We can do a midrash on this drash, but anyway, Sechel Tov says, "ותרד בת פרעה לרחוץ על היאור, אף על פי שאין המקרא יוצא מידי פשוטו, רבותינו דרשו במדרש להדביר הדברים על אופניהם." איזה מדרש? שירדה לרחוץ מגילולי בית אביה. ומצינו מפורש בדברי הימים שמרד, דהיינו, כלב וניפונה, לקח את ביתיה בת פרעה לאישה. לכך אמרו רבותינו, לא נכתב ספר דברי הימים, אלא לא להידרש, אלא לדרוש בו ענייני התורה. דברי הימים is a מדרש. דברי הימים is a מדרש. So he is used to לדרוש בו ענייני התורה. And when we say midrash, it could be different kinds of midrash. In this case, I don't think
it makes a lot of
all
sense.
Of this.
Because it makes a lot of sense. Because just so you know, all by Ezra, all this by Manada, everything that's there is different, and it's a midrash, like Kaufman says, and other one already pointed out. So this is also Ezra. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. This is the signal on Ezra making midrash.
Yeah, but then you focusing on Ezra and they say it's a midrash because of Ezra. What I'm going to say is we see in Divrei Hamim something that we don't have in any other book. We can see how he walked because we see the sources and we see him editing it.
I'm just saying, but the missing of midrash in Nach is not so. Someone that learns Nach knows that you could see how last time it is a midrash. It is a midrash.
It's not exactly what happened. Yeah.
That's like and they make midrash on the psukim on the Torah.
Yeah.
The Mishnah doesn't say this. The Mishnah in Yuma says it make Im Rugel Lidrash Darshan Lafonim. Rugel Likras Koya. Enough kohen lefonav. My kohen lefonav be'iyov and Ezra b'divrei hayomim. But it does say kohen. It doesn't say like.
Oh no, because Kohen is just to say the text, and Dorshin is to explain it. In Chazal, Vidrosh is not like, it's not the opposite of Pshat. It's the opposite of just saying the words. Anyway, one of the cases I think Chazal did say what I just said is in Brachot, Zayin Amud Beis, 29. We have a very interesting verse, ושמתי מקום לעמי לישראל ונטעתיו ושכן תחתיו ולא ירגע זאת. This is part of the נבואה of Natan about David. ולא יוסיפו בני עוולה לענותו כאשר בראשונה. No other enemy will לענותו, just make him suffer, as before, as in the תקופת השופטים. רב הונא רמי, כתיב לענותו וכתיב לכלותו. In the same פסוק, in דברי הימים, כתיב ולא יוסיפו בני עוולה לכלותו כאשר בראשונה. Let's just say that in our text it's לבלותו, not לכלותו, but it may be the same. So what's the explanation? בתחילה לענותו ולבסוף לכלותו. What does this mean? Malbim, I say Malbim, but it's the same in Rashi on Brachot. Malbim just say it's better. לבלותו ושם בשמואל לענותו. ופרשו חז"ל מתחילה לענותו ולבסוף לבלותו, שאחר שחטאו נשתנה ההבטחה והיו מעונים מבני עוולה. So we had an הבטחה of Natan that ולא יוסיפו בני עוולה לענותו, but then they sinned ונשתנה ההבטחה. And דברי הימים was written in Beit Sheni after all the Churban, Galut Bavel. So they sinned, the ההבטחה was gone, but היו מעונים מבני עוולה, רק שנשאר ההבטחה שלא יבלו אותם לאומם ולעבדם. So we had the נבואה that ולא יוסיפו בני עוולה לענותו, but because of the sins it was changed.
It's not a midrash.
Wait a second.
Okay.
It was changed, and now what we had left from this Sabtacha is just that they wouldn't be killed a lot, yeah, the Chaloisam. And then in Divrei Hayimim, he writes not what Natan really said, but what what's left from what Natan said. But the fact is that what Chazal says here is that in Divrei Hayimim it says that Natan says X. And he didn't say that. He didn't say Lechaloto. He said Le'anoto. So he edited the Nevuah to say what the Nevuah, what's left of the Nevuah in the time of Divrei Hayimim. This is a midrash. It's a lie if we talk about history. Natan didn't say that. He said that. But if you say what the Beit Sheni people needs to know, they need to know that Natan said that no one will make you perish. I think that's very clear. So Chazal says that Divrei Hayimim does a midrash. I think it's very clear. I don't see any other way to understand this midrash in Brachot. Yes, and the same I think in 31 in a different midrash, not about Divrei Hayimim at all. כל האומר שלמה חטא. How is it that Shlomo didn't sin? We can see in the psukim that he did. אמר שמואל בר נחמני, אמר יונתן, not you. כל האומר שלמה חטא אינו לטועה, שנאמר ולא היה לבבו שלם עם השם אלוקיו, כלבב דוד אביו, כלבב דוד אביו ודלב, המחתנה מי לא חטא. I'm reading it fast until the part that I need. אלא מה אני מקיים ויהי לעת זקנת שלמה נשב איתו את לבבו, היי כרבי נוסן זה נתן סמרמי, כתיב ויהי לעת זקנת שלמה וכולי וכולי וכולי. That he didn't say. Anyway, והכתיב אז יבנה שלמה במה לכמוש שיקוץ מואב. The pasuk says that he built a bama to כמוש, שביקש לבנות ולא בנה. Why? Because it says אז יבנה, he wanted to. אלא מעתה אז יבנה יהושע מזבח שביקש לבנות ולא בנה, אלא דבנה. כן? אז יבנה doesn't mean that he didn't build. He built. So what is אז יבנה שלמה במה. אלא כדתניא, רבי יוסי אומר, ואת הבמות אשר על פני ירושלים, אשר מימין להר המשחה, אשר בנה שלמה מלך ישראל, להשטרות שיקוט צידונים וכולי, יאשיהו raised. אפשר בא עשה ולא ביערם, יהושפט ולא ביערם, עד שבא יאשיהו ביערם. So if Shlomo did build this bamot, how is it that Yoshiyahu put them down, and not Asa or Yoshaphat, it was tzaddikim? והלא כל עבודה זרה שבארץ ישראל עשה ויושפט ביערום, אלא מקיש ראשונים לאחרונים. מה האחרונים לא עשו? האחרונים יאשיהו. He didn't raise down the במות, ותלה בהם לשבח. אף ראשונים לא עשו, ותלה בהם לגנאי. כן, I'm going to רש"י, הכנה מדבנה קשי, מקיש ראשונים. מקיש את בניינו של שלמה לביאורו של יאשיהו. מה יאשיהו לא עשה ביאור זה? Because Asa or Yoshaphat could have done it before, ותלו בו מן השמיים לשבח, הואיל וביאר השאר, שנעשה משמת יהושפט. אף שלמה לא עשה בעניין זה, ותלו בו לגנות, מתוך שלא מיכה בנשיו. What happened?
He's responsible for it.
Yeah, but again, responsible for what?
That they made a bomb for this moil.
He didn't make a bomb.
Not he, his wives.
No, no one.
That's what he
שלמה לא עשה בעניין זה.
רצה לעשות.
לא, רצה לעשות, we wanted to say this explanation, but it doesn't work.
Who made the bomb? Who made
We
the
don't know. We don't know who built it.
No,
So he's saying his wife.
According to this, Yoshiyahu didn't destruct the Bamot,
Right.
but he says that he did to make it look like he cleaned all of what Sefer Malachim did from Shlomo to his era. So the same way, Shlomo didn't build the Bamot, but he says that he built the Bamot. If you want to say that someone else built the Bamot, if you want to
Someone his grandchildren built it.
No, it says his wife.
The other possibility that the wife built Bamot, but it's not him. It's I don't know.
I think someone would say if from your house comes out something bad, they say you did it. It doesn't matter, you, your kids, you're responsible for it.
But if you are the king and you have wives, they won't do anything. You will.
Okay, so that's what it means.
Not
It's not so true because you had a whole
not meaning that
prison system of women from around the world that belonged to him. So political prisoners, hostages, so they had their own programmings.
What I understand here, and I know that the Achronim discuss if this or that. What I understand is that this didn't happen and this didn't happen. He didn't build and he didn't destroy.
So who destroyed it? So who destroyed it?
So no one destroyed nothing because it wasn't built.
That's not what Rashi
That's
says.
what they're saying?
I think this is what Rashi
No,
says.
Rashi says it happened. He didn't do it with his hands, and he also didn't do it with his hands. But it's not that it didn't happen. Why doesn't it say he had a boat or whatever
I'm
it
reading
is?
that Asa bi'aram.
No.
A way of presenting it.
The question is, how could it be that Yoshiyahu destroyed them if Asa and Yoshaphat was
So
before?
Elomai Asa destroyed them.
If there were Bamot, it would have been destroyed way
By
before.
Asa?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Makish Rishonim Lachonim, and Yoshiyahu didn't raise it down because it wasn't in his time.
Because Asa destroyed them.
Because it couldn't be. Because if they were, I know what you think because of the next verse, the next part of the Gemara that we didn't read. והכתיב ויעש שלמה הרע בעיני השם, אלא מפני שהיה לו למחות בנשיו ולא מיכה, מעלה עליו כתוב כאילו חטא. Here we think.
I'm saying that Rechavam built them. It
Why?
was built much later, the same way that the Gemara assumes that it was destroyed
But
much
Rechavam did to
earlier.
you. What to say? Why do you say that Rechavam made a mamot?
Because the Gemara says, the Pusik says that later than Shlomo, the Pusik says clearly that there was a lot of Bamot in Israel. That's a
different kind of Bamot. רק הבמות לא סערו that it's written in every king.
Doesn't mean that Avodah Zarah.
Yeah.
No,
I'm talking about
Bamot. Well, here we're talking about Avodah Zarah. Even Shlomo Bamot K'mosh.
Yeah. We have in chapter in Yud Aleph, you have the Bama L'chmosh. And
Yeah,
then
but much later it says that all the
Not
nine
Bamas
buildings-
Avodah Zarah. Bamas means Bamas. That's why you're confusing.
yeah.
L'shem Hashem.
Anyway,
Boom is Hashem Hashem. It wasn't Osgalden, but
yeah, it's not really a problem for me if you want to say that Shlomo did build the Bamot and just Yoshiyahu didn't distract them. Anyway,
so what are you saying?
Anyway, you put it.
Never built.
Some or both or only what it says about Yoshiyahu didn't happen according to Chazal. Yeah. You have a pasuk about Yoshiyahu that he ואת הבמות אשר על פני ירושלים אשר בנה שלמה ישעיהו ביאר, and it didn't happen. It's according to history, it's a lie, but it's not a lie because מעלה עליו הכתוב. And if you want to just
it's a beautiful example. Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, if you take this example, you can take any example of מעלה עליו הכתוב. Because מעלה עליו הכתוב is exactly what I want to say, that Chazal says about a כתוב that says X, that it didn't happen. This is what מעלה עליו הכתוב means.
You're saying it's unique to Dvei Hayamim, aren't you?
No, this is not Dvei Hayamim.
Oh, this is not Dvei Hayamim?
No, it's Melachim.
Okay.
Yeah, and they say the same about the Kol Omer David Chatan.
Now I want to show B'chlal, Chazal have also this view that the pasuk is not coming as a fact.
Yeah. וגם בני עלי, שמעלה עליהם הכתוב כאילו שכבו. But they say, the pasuk says, yeah, that שכבו את הנשים.
So Malal HaKasav, as if the boats were going to go to Tarshish around Africa, that answers this question.
Yeah, but the only problem in this case is that you have no reasoning behind it.
Okay.
Why would they say it?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Push back the question.
Yeah. Yes.
The main thing is that it doesn't tell me the Metziut. What you establishing now that doesn't give you the Metziut. So we don't know the reason behind it.
No, what I'm establishing is that
it's Tosh literature, it's not fact telling.
forgot the word. מספר סיפור. מספר סיפור. Every midrash of Chazal is a story.
חלק ממה שאני תמיד מבין, what I always understand, why people it's hard for them to accept it, because we spoke about, because they think it tells facts, is also because they don't really know and they don't really read literature. They don't know what it means telling stories. By them, the story is always taken as facts.
Yeah. But it's not a fact, it has no meaning.
It's not a fact, it's not a story. They don't understand the concept of storytelling, That's the problem. So then they make a hanocha, so it has to be a fact. So then, if someone said it's not a fact, that means, oh, you're saying it's a sheker? No, because you just now introduced it. This guy, the toolbox that he has is very, very small.
Yeah. The main idea of a story is the message.
Yeah.
And we started with, even if we don't have in real contradiction, still we have a different version of the same story. It usually because they wanted to say a different message. If you see in different newspapers the same story about the same fact, and it's not the same story exactly. It's because they have a different, you can call it narrative, but a different message to put.
No, but the newspaper, it's a problem because they're coming to tell facts. That's a problem if you contradict. Someone is a liar. Here, it's in the Katchila, not written as a story, as telling the facts.
Yeah, but I mean that even if you can say they are liars, still the reason why they lie is because they want to say to convey some message. And in literature, the message is all that the literature means. This is what it was written for. And in every book, we need to think what it tries to say. So in Dvei also, we need to try to find out what's the meaning of the difference. And I think that in many cases, if we try to see when he changes one fact, he stays with it because he has some message to convey. So, for example, you have here in 32, we have a story about Yehu in Melachim. That when he went to Shomron after he killed two kings, ויקום וילך ויבוא שומרון ובית עקד הרועים בדרך, ויהוא מצא את אחי אחזיהו מלך יהודה. ויאמר מי אתם? ויאמרו אחי אחזיהו אנחנו, ונבא לשלום מן המלך ונהג בירה, ויאמר תפסום חיים ויתפסום חיים וישחטום אל בור בית עקד. He killed 42 of the brothers of Achaziah. But then in דברי הימים ב' in the same story before of Yehoram, the father of Achaziyahu. It says, ויער השם על יהורם את רוח הפלישתים והערבים אשר על יד כושים. ויעלו ביהודה ויבקעוה וישבו את כל הרכוש הנמצא לבית המלך וגם בניו ונשיו, ולא נשאר לו בן, כי אם יהואחז קטון בניו. כן, והמליכו ירושלים את אחזיהו בנו הקטון תחתיו, כי כל הראשונים הרג הגדוד הבא בערבים למחנה. So the only son of Yehoram who left alive is Yehoachaz. So how did Yehu kill 42 of his brothers? So in Dveri Hayamim, I think he has a reason to change it because he wanted to convey Sachar ve'onesh to Yehoram, who killed in Dveri Hayamim all his brothers, and then all his sons were killed but one, and even then Achaziyahu himself, all his kids was killed by but one, by Athaliah. So he wanted to do it, but then when he did it, and he said that all the brothers of Achaziah already have been killed, he goes on with it. And when he goes to Achaziyahu and Yehu, דברי הימים ב' כ"ב, ויהי כי ישפט יהוא עם בית אחיו, וימצא את שרי יהודה, ובני אחי אחזיהו משרתים לאחזיהו וירגם. So because he said that it's that the brothers of Achaziyahu were already been killed in the time of Yehoram, then he needed to change the story to be consistent, and said that Yehu killed the sons of the brothers of Achaziyahu. And this we have in many cases. For example, Menashe is one of the clearest examples of difference between Melachim and Dveri Hayamim. You can see the table, I think where it is, in 6, in page 6. We won't read all of it. The first half of the story is the same in Melachim and Dveri Hayamim. Menashe was he sinned a lot. That's the bottom line. But then you can see that we have a very big, bold portion. Vaydaber Hashem, and then a different story entirely. In Melachim we have the Nevuah about the Churban Yerushalayim. Vaydaber Hashem biyad avadav הנביאים לאמור וכולי 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 until ויתר דברי מנשה. In דברי הימים we have וידבר השם וכולי 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 ויתר דברי מנשה. Just so you know, I don't know why I looked it up, but we have the same amount of words in these two cases. He changed 117 words to a different 117 words. וידבר השם על מנשה ואל עמו ולא הקשיבו, and then what happened? ויבא השם עליהם את שרי הצבא אשר למלך אשור. וילכדו את מנשה בחוכים, ויאסרו בנחו 2 וילכו בבל.
Wow, this is like the narrative they did tshuva. The Chazal say they did tshuva.
This is exactly, it's Chazal, it's דברי הימים.
Right.
והוא חצר לו, חילה את פני השם אלוהיו, ויקנא מאוד מלפני אלוהי אבותיו. ויתפלל אליו, ויעתר לו, וישמע את תחינתו, וישיבו לו.
This is pro-David that wants to correct a little bit the story there.
I have different explanations for what he did here, but yes. ואחרי כן בנה כן, וידע מנשה, הוא חזר בתשובה, ואחרי כן בנה חומה חיצונה, וכולי וכולי, ויסר את אלוהי הנכר ואת הסמל מבית השם, וכל המזבחות אשר בנה בהר בית השם בירושלים, וישלח חוץ על העיר. Now before we go back to Menashe, just so we know, if he already put down all the mizbechot, so how did Yoshiyahu did it? Because in Melachim, look in where is it? Too many pages.
This is Bamot.
Yeah, in 34, page 7. There you see ואת המזבחות אשר על הגג עליית אחז אשר עשו מלכי יהודה, ואת המזבחות אשר עשה מנשה בשתי חצרות בית השם נתץ המלך יאשיהו וירוס משם. So Yoshiyahu put the מזבחות down or Menashe himself? So in Melachim, Menashe sinned and didn't do any tshuva. So he is consistent, and he says that Yoshiyahu was the one to put the mizbachot down. But in Dveri Hayamim, he has a different story that Menashe did it himself. And as you can guess, in Yoshia's story, he didn't put down the Mizbechot of Menashe. Because he didn't have to, because in the Hayim's story, it was Menashe who did it.
How do you explain it to?
Why did he change it?
No, how do you explain this two narratives? How do you explain it?
Again, he wanted to say a different story because of the message that we said.
That's
we talked
understood.
about. Yeah, and the question is only, as you already said, what is the message? That's what we need to do, because we need to try.
What is the message? Why this Sefer wants to say that he did tshuva and that Sefer not?
Yeah, but again, this is a question. It is a meta question. When Yirmiyahu, or the one who wrote Melachim, wrote it, he didn't write it so you will ask, why did you say it like this and not like Divrei Hayimim? And when Divrei Hayimim was written, it was written so you will read Divrei Hayimim, not to read Divrei Hayimim and ask about Melachim.
Why?
It's a different book.
There's another book.
He knows, but he wrote this book.
This is good.
He didn't read it, so you could do a table.
So that's why I never heard such a thing. I always know that I always thought that the way to answer. I'm not so sure I explained Divrei Hayimim, but it's like this is a pro David, this is a pro this. But now you're saying another very important thing. We have to be unique, taking an Nekudat Hanacha that Melachim, Divrei Hayimim, Melachim is before, and that's where you can explain some changes by Chinese changes, as things change by Chinese. But the interesting part is what you said. You said yourself is quite a little bit contradictory, because you said that there is versions of Sefer Shmuel that are versions like a Divrei Hayimim.
No.
So in order to you could say your Mahalach, you have to say that we know for sure that Malachim and Shmuel are really before Divrei Hayimim.
No. Bal Divrei Hayimim used Shmuel Melachim.
That's for sure.
Used it for sure.
So that's for sure that this is before this.
No, this is for sure.
So mind you can explain now some changes about like time changes.
No, but I agree with everything that you said, but only to
you could say
of
that
what he did. He did what? He took these sources and made a new narrative.
Right.
But then he wanted you to see this narrative.
I understand.
He didn't want you to do like a table like this and to say
why
he
did
did it. Yeah.
You're going against the Mechaber's will. Yeah, that's what he's saying. But I'm just saying is.
But what does it mean?
But we're seeing it.
Let's
say I don't know exactly which year you'll say it got published. Not published, yeah. But Sefer Shmuel and Melachim. And what you're saying is you could explain some contradictions because it's not conditional. Because first we go with the Kedat Hanacha, it's not facts, narrative. Now why should he have different narrative? Maybe there's a different. The time changes. Different theological things are more important, and he wants to bring out this part. And it's in why it wasn't important then because there's theological differences between Kufat and things.
Yeah, or not theological differences because between different conceptions of which Kufa, but different questions that need to be answered.
But why different questions?
Why
before was the question now was because theological things.
Yeah, but
how do you explain it?
No. I'm trying to say that the theological things are connected to what happened. Like for example, in the time Melachim was written in the Galut,
right?
The questions were, why are we in the Galut? How was it that God forsaken us?
Right.
If He indeed forsaken us, will it become Shivat Zion again?
Right.
Will be a Geulah? Will it be? And Hashem said that Beit David will be forever. What happened? We're waiting until now for the coming back of Beit David. So this is the questions of the Galut.
And in the questions on people's mind in historical times.
Yes. And the answers.
The Tolkien from your territory that you're saying that Divrei Hayimim it's already Shivas Zion. They're already back. So that's why they have different questions that they ask when they're in Galut. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, it's not different when I said that. Why they have different?
It's not like the different theologies. Like they have the theology, they have the answers, and the different answers. It's the one who wrote the book that tries to answer the questions, and this made him like against his will, even if you want, make a different story because he needed to say this. Messages and not this message.
I'm trying to understand what you're
saying. I'm saying, just like Chazal say,
for example,
Chazal say the Gevir from Abishur is not physical. Gevir is different today. Yeah, I'm saying times tell you that you have to reinterpret the verses in a different way and say a different narrative in the story.
So you would say that Menashe is a character in the
Oh, first of all, if you ask me how I see all the Sipurim in the Tanakh, yes.
Yes,
But
what?
yes, sir.
No.
I think everything that's in the Tanakh is part of the message, and the idea of the Tanakh is the stories and the messages. And if it happened exactly like this or not, I don't know. And even if it happened exactly like it's written, is it like Rashi's interpretation of what's written, or my interpretation, or your interpretation? We have so many variables that we need to take into account that we can't really say what happened. So the question of what happened, even if you believe that the Tanakh says what happened, you don't have any idea of what happened. Just a second. So I was left with the question of what the message, even before I was tackled with these questions of Debra. The only thing that it added that you can see for a fact that we have different facts in the Bible.
This brings us to say that it's not different facts, it's just different narratives.
There are different facts because he says that this happened.
I'm saying
he said this. He said this in this occasion, and this.
Right. So this brings us to say that they're never telling facts, so that's why it's not a contradiction.
Yeah. Again, fact like an historical fact.
Right.
Yeah. Again. But if you talk about the same person in the same occasion who says the same things like Natan, but in this book he said slightly different thing, they say a different fact if you want. But again, it's because the idea of the story is not to say what happened.
Yeah.
It's not why we have Tanakh for.
Tanakh is to deal with problems, to deal with questions, to deal with stories.
Yeah.
To give us wisdom, to give us.
Yeah, and in many cases, I was trying to when I tried to make like a young Bachur to understand the idea, I asked them if they have an example of something that if you say the right thing, the factual thing, you will get the wrong message. For example, I can say for a fact that there are textual shibushim in Tanakh. I can prove it, it's very easy. Take, for example, the Torah of the Temanim and the Ashkenazim.
Yeah.
You have differences, one of them is not correct. Okay? But when you say there are mistakes in the Tanakh to someone who doesn't have the entire idea of what it means, it will take it differently, completely different, and to ways that we don't want him to go. So to lie to him will convey the right message. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, that's James. No, subjective,
yeah,
subjective
but
truth.
not in
William James.
Why
no?
not in a bad way.
Noble lies.
Noble
Right.
lies.
Yeah.
Shkerim lebanim.
But in this case, it's not novelized because we don't want him to understand something like that.
Right.
But because this is exactly what narrative means, what literature means. We want to use history, but as a platform to give the messages.
Right.
What exactly happens is not really the case. What you need to convey. Yeah.
Something to pay attention to.
One thing. You finish, right?
I can continue forever.
I understand.
Yeah.
Something to pay attention to though is that you have corrections, midrashim, whatever you want to call it, but there was no deletion, so like it was intentionally left in a way that the first version is here if you pay attention like I did, because I'm trying to answer her taritzim and shalas that was made to me aware because of problems that I have. I'm leaving you with the original version. There was no intention, presumably, to like delete the first version. So he left it like two versions. Like the author of the Vayimim left intentionally conflicting versions. So it's not like he corrected.
What do you mean left? He didn't. He couldn't do something to.
Can undo something. You can't undo Melachim.
So was he intended? Whoever Ezra said, was he intended to be as accurate, or was he intended to be read as a medrash?
No, the telling yesterday you should read the Divrei Hayim version because it's not relevant.
There is a debate in scholarship of Divrei Hayim in general about this question, whether we need to read it always as opposed to Shmuel Melachim, or in itself in his own account. And the fact that he is actually citing Shmuel Melachim word by word and then change things could mean that you need to read it as opposed to Shmuel Melachim. But even I'm one of the scholars that think that we need to read it by itself. So, but again, you can do the tables and to see that he used Shmuel Melachim. So these tables only meant to point to the places that we know he changed, and then we know what he wanted to do.
A new message. A new message.
Because this points out, you see, he changed this to that. I know he did this on purpose. But not because he wanted you, the reader, to take Shmuel and Melachim and to take Divrei Hayamim and to compare them, but only to read Divrei Hayamim and to see the message of Divrei Hayamim. That's I think.
Thank you so much.
So it's basically a commentary, what you're saying. If not, just write a new book. Why don't you write a whole new book then?
Commentary. The problem with the word commentary is the commentary meant to make a text readable. To take Shmuel or Melachim.
Okay, it's a different type of commentary.
It's not a different. It's not a commentary at all because
it's rewritten.
Yeah, but why don't you write a whole new story if you want to just?
No, because it's known stories. It's known stories. You can't write a new story. Everyone that now Shivitzian.
Yeah, but what's the purpose of writing the exact same words and just changing two words?
Because they know the story. Because they know the story.
Okay,
you have to give a different narrative in the story. You can't explain.
I understand that, but you
in Golos, you need to say that